You've heard of the thrilla in Manila. You've heard of the rumble in the jungle. Well, this was the duel in the desert. The premise for the game at the Duel in the Desert was a sort of hypothetical super Jena. The idea being, what if the Prussians were able to consolidate all of their forces at the Jena battlefield instead of being divided at both Jena and Auerstadt. With this particular scenario, the Prussians set up along this line here. Meanwhile, the French set up along this line here with reinforcements coming in along the map edge behind them. Of course, they had some objectives for both the Prussians or the French to capture a number of villages that were here towards the back edge of the map, kind of along the the Prussian line of retreat. If those were controlled by the Prussians, it would yield them points. If it was controlled by the French, it would yield them points. If we look a little further, down and across the battlefield, you can see over here on this side was where the French would be receiving reinforcements in the way with Devoe's Third Corps coming on to the map in this general area. Meanwhile, if we go back towards the other side, the Prussians had reinforcements coming in along the Weimar Road here to support them. Now let's meet the French team. Seated is Ed Wimble, who was the overall army commander for the French. He played Napoleon, elements of the Imperial Guard, and Murat's Heavy Cavalry Corps. To his left is Robert Bond, new to the French team. Robert played Ney's Corps. Behind Ed is Albert Smith, who played Augereau's Corps and elements of Davout's Corps. To Albert's right in the photo is Thomas Whitfield, who plays Lannes' Corps, and to the right of Thomas in this picture is myself. I played So's Corps. All right, now let's meet the Prussian team. This was composed mostly of the developers from the Marshall Enterprise group. On the right of this photo is Monty Matson, who was playing Brunswick's Prussians, holding the left of the line. Next to him is James Spohr, who was playing Hohenloh's Prussians, holding the center right. Sitting in front of him is Mark Kaczmarek, who was playing the Saxon divisions, holding the center village of Werzenheiligen. And to his left, holding the right of the Prussian line, is Dennis Spohrs, who had elements of the Prussian Guard, Saxon Grenadiers, and Prussian Grenadiers. He was holding the far right of the Prussian line. The terrain of the battlefield and the approaches to the victory condition villages divided the battle area into three main sectors of conflict. On the French right, the divisions of Marshal So's Corps proceeded up a road from Jena, Weimar Road, through a wooded defile to attack the Prussian Guard and Grenadiers and advanced avant-garde units that were deployed against them. In the central area, Marshal Lannes' forces moved through this edge of the woods, while elements of the French heavy cavalry, and then, of course, elements of the French Guard and Guard artillery occupied the hill that was here in the center, overlooking the tiny village of Kapellendorf and Werzeheiligen, which were here in the central part of the map. Finally, over on the far French right, the elements of Marshal Ney's corps and Marshal Augereau's corps were moving up towards the central position at Werzeheiligen. Arrayed against them were the forces of the Prussians with Brunswick's Prussian infantry here, Werzeheiligen and this central area occupied by the Saxon divisions. The central area here was then occupied by Hohenlohe's Prussian forces, and finally elements of the Prussian Guard and Grenadiers on their far Prussian right.